Andrew, thank you. Today, Local 4 kicks off a full day of team coverage as we, along with local communities across the area, try to fight this K2 epidemic.
This morning, we've got 3 counties that are now taking action to stop this substance from being sold at local gas stations. Macomb County announced it would issue health violations to businesses that sell this drug. In western Wayne County, the 3 neighboring police departments of Northville, Canton, Plymouth, they sent letters to businesses warning of criminal or civil penalties for selling K2.
And over in Oakland County, West Bloomfield has voted to make the sale of spice, or K2, punishable by 90 days in jail and a $500 fine. Our Sean Lay is live in Oakland County this morning with more on the emergency vote. Sean, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Look, I've got a 2.5-year-old at home, and I'm worried about this K2 thing. If you're at home right now and you've got kids, even as young as 6th and 7th grade, today is a big day for you to talk to them about this K2 thing. We're at the Betty Ross Coney Island right here about 12 Mile and John R. in Madison Heights. Kelly is here. She runs a gas station up in Macomb Township that does not sell K2, but she talks to us that she's asked about it every day by kids coming in looking for this stuff. I'll show you over here what's going on. In a few minutes, we're going to settle these folks down for a roundtable discussion. They all have something very important to say about it. A Shelby Township parent whose son just went into rehab because of K2 addiction. We also have a Shelby Township supervisor. He's going to the state today to urge them to get busy with the K2 legislation. And Mark Hackle, the Macomb County executive, also, who came out in a big way yesterday talking about big fines for any shops that sell this thing. But it was last night, West Bloomfield, who got busy with action about banning K2.
What West Bloomfield has done is prohibit the sale of spice, or K2, but what's also known as bath salts. Both are synthetic drugs easily obtained in party stores and head shops and have been tied to 2 murders in Oakland County and the overdose of a teenager. And the bath salts are what a man reportedly took in Miami before attacking another man.
There was an urgency that you just couldn't deny. I mean, it was all over the newspapers, and it were, 3 deaths.
Parents are lining up to voice their support for this ban.
There are still places in West Bloomfield that have it on their shelves.
For the safety of our children, we are asking as parents in a community, we're begging as parents in a community to keep our children safe.
Back here live now, talking about West Bloomfield. Police officers will be on the street as early as this morning, going from shop to shop, telling those shop owners and clerks that the ban is now in effect. That's what's happening in West Bloomfield. Now, you're sitting at home, log on to Facebook, click on Detroit.com on our Facebook page, ask us a question, because I've got questions about this stuff, Guy and Rhonda. What exactly is in it? I looked it up last night. It's hard to determine what's in it. And what about going online and buying it? If you ban it, can't you just go online and buy it as well? We've got questions for our experts here. They are here for us. Ask a question. We'll be back at 5:16, and we'll be having our discussion. Back to you guys.
Well, and we've seen such violence from it, Sean, and I'm wondering if by calling it synthetic marijuana, we aren't doing parents a disservice by making this seem maybe less than it is. It has led to much more violent acts than we normally would see with any kind of marijuana.
Coming up, we're going to be talking to Bill Miskokoman. I want to make sure I say his name right. He had to drive his son to the Dakotas a couple of days ago. He's had a 2-year addiction he didn't know about. He would see the incense spice in the house, all this violent behavior, didn't know what was wrong until he went ahead. So parents got to listen to Bill as well, because he was drug testing him as well. It doesn't show up. You're right, Guy. A lot more has to be said and done about this.
State is pushing toward banning that dangerous drug K2, also known as spice. Wayne County Executive Robert Facano has taken the next step to ban the drug here in Wayne County. Today, he has signed an imminent danger order about K2. Here he is signing that order with Acting Health Officer Dr. Muhannad Hamami. Now, this is on Wayne County's Facebook page with a caption underneath it saying the order allows Wayne County to move forward to ban the sale of K2. Right now, several communities are taking action to get this dangerous drug out of our kids' hands. But it's not just big cities that are battling to ban it. Local 4 Defender Hank Winchester is live, and I understand that there's also a small town spice epidemic, Hank.
Ruth, spice is affecting people in all sorts of different communities all over Metro Detroit. You may remember just yesterday here in Macomb County, the county executive working with the health department releasing an order to effectively ban spice from being sold at gas stations like you see the one behind me. But it is not just a big problem here in our Tri-County area of Macomb, Wayne, and Oakland County. As you will see, many small towns in Livingston County especially being affected. Take a look. K2 isn't just the big problem in the big city, it is also affecting small towns like Pinckney. Here, local mom Kim Leopold created a Facebook page raising awareness about the dangers of K2.
And I went to our local gas station to get some gas and get some pop for my son. And I go in there and they had a big, huge glass case. They had bongs. And I said to the kid, "Is that synthetic pot?" And he was very proud and said, "Yeah."
The Facebook page has generated a lot of interest in this small town. It works to educate both parents and teenagers.
It's given awareness. People that had no idea what it was, from my mom going to our Catholic church, older senior citizen women who've got grown kids going, "I heard what your daughter did. This is so great. Now I'm checking on my grandchildren to make sure they're not doing this stuff."
The Picnic Coalition works to raise awareness about drugs and drinking-related issues. Russell Stratton worries that teens will experiment with K2 without even really knowing what the drug is all about.
You just don't know what you're going to get when you're purchasing this. And it can actually have some that's very strong versus some that's not as strong, and you're not sure what you're doing. Again, there's a great chance for overdose, possibly even death.
The coalition working to educate kids about the dangers of K2. Here, meth and cocaine have also been big problems in this small town.
This is something that is new. It kind of reminds me of the meth epidemic that had taken place and how people were just making it randomly and out of, backdoor facilities or actually in bathtubs and so on.
You may remember meth was a huge problem in Livingston County and also northern Oakland County. Those in that small town there in Livingston working to make sure they're able to control K2 before it gets way out of control. Now, new tonight at 5 o'clock, we want you to tune in for our special coverage as it continues. In fact, we are going out with County Executive Mark Hackle, along with the sheriff and a representative from the health department, going gas station to gas station, checking to see whether anybody is violating that order that just went into effect here yesterday in Macomb County. We'll have that for you in a live report at 5 o'clock. For now, we're live here in Roseville. Hank Winchester, back to you.
Okay, good, Hank. We'll look forward to that report at 5. We know that you have a lot of questions about how this fight against K2 epidemic is progressing, and we have assembled a group of experts to address your concerns. They're all in our local 4 phone bank. You see them there right now, ready to take your calls. This team includes experts from Families Against Narcotics, CARE, Wayne County Public Health, the Brighton Center for Recovery, and Canton Public Safety. And the number to call is right there on your screen. It's 313-298-WDIV. Again, 313-298-WDIV. We also have experts answering your K2 questions online this afternoon. You can go to clickondetroit.com and you can join our web chat. Right now, you can talk with Dr. Hamami. He's the Chief of Health Operations for Wayne County. And you can also chat with Mark Rudolph from Families Against Narcotics. We have a lot more ahead as we continue our all-day coverage of this K2 epidemic. Coming up at 5 o'clock, you'll see how you can report K2 in your community. And at 5:30, our Dr. Frank McGeorge is going to break down the difference between K2 and another dangerous drug called bath salts. And then at 6 o'clock, the Defenders will show you how store owners are actually making a huge profit selling K2. And remember, when we're not on the air, you can follow the latest in this fight against K2 by heading to our website, clickondetroit.com. That's where you'll find our special coverage box.
But first, fighting the K2 epidemic, the state, local counties, and cities taking action to stop the sale of the drug. Tonight, Local 4 Defenders on the streets tracking down where it's still being sold and what you should do if you find it in your neighborhood. Good evening. It tops our news at 5. Well, no time is being wasted to get this deadly drug, I should say, off the streets. And this just minutes ago, the Detroit mayor issued an emergency order banning the sale of K2 in the city of Detroit.
It's been an extraordinary couple of days. We've seen action taken at nearly every level across our state. In Lansing, the House Judiciary Committee passed a bill to ban K2. That legislation now goes over to the House for a vote.
In Wayne County, Executive Robert Facano signed an imminent danger order making it illegal to sell K2 in the county.
Also today, we learned of a bust and foul Fowlerville in Livingston County, where officers seized K2 from a BP gas station there, and then that led into investigations at other gas stations in East Lansing and Howell.
And in Port Huron, police sent this letter to local businesses asking them to voluntarily stop the sale of K2.
Well, the Local 4 defenders, as you know, have teamed up with Root to the Rescue to fight this K2 epidemic.
And let's get things started with Hank Winchester. Hank is in Macomb County, where police went on the offensive today looking for who's still selling the drug. Hank?
And Carmen Devin, you may remember it was just yesterday that county officials signed that order banning K2 here in Macomb County, making sure it's not being sold at gas stations like the one you see right behind me. Today we had an opportunity to go out with county leaders as they work to see if anybody is disobeying that brand new order. Take a look. Macomb County Executive Mark Hackle is on a mission to rid the county of K2.
Some people are selling that K2 spice and all that kind of stuff. You got it off the shelves and everything?
Today, Defender cameras hitting the streets with Hackle, Sheriff Wickersham, and leaders from the health department looking for stations selling K2.
K2. What'd you guys do with all that stuff? The K2 and the bath salts and stuff? Where you got it?
Macomb County leaders just issuing an order yesterday banning the sale of K2. Hackle says he knows it's dangerous and potentially deadly.
K2 products, we hear they sell them here.
We took it off.
When did you take it off?
Because we don't want the, police coming in here.
When did you take it off?
Station after station, from Roseville to Warren to Clinton Township, it appears K2 is vanishing from store shelves.
Hearing a tremendous response from the public, parents, these coalitions, and even some kids, believe it or not, that are just saying this stuff has got to go because it really is, it is harmful.
But at the last stop, Hackle's team discovering this box of K2. It was labeled not for sale and was located inside the Marathon gas station on Gratiot in Clinton Township. It was taken away by Hackle's team, so it will not be resold.
We don't care. We are a family store. We get a lot of kids comes in here, and a lot of parents bring their kids in here, so we don't let that, we don't get any of that kind of stuff.
Back out here live, and that gentleman you just heard from working at another gas station here in Macomb County, he said he has never sold K2 because he realizes that it is a serious threat. As for the station where they found that box marked not for sale, well, that station owner also saying that he pulled the K2 just a few days ago. He wanted to make sure he was complying with that new order. Now, right now, I want to get you over to my colleague, Local 4 Defender Mark Santia. He's live tonight in Detroit, continuing our team coverage. And Mark, I understand you have some important information about what people should be doing if they spot K2 in their community.
Hank, thank you. The ban on K2 is spreading from city to city across Metro Detroit, but I talked to several police officers today who tell me if this crackdown is successful, it all hinges on you. You need to speak up if you know of someone selling K2, and here's how.
Around Metro Detroit, the sale of K2 has been banned in several locations, including Canton Township, where police tell the defenders if you spot someone selling spice, give them a call. Officers will check on any leads in their township. In Northville Township, police have met with business owners and say they have been compliant, not offering K2 to the public, but police also tell the defenders if you see someone selling, give officers a call immediately. Across town in Royal Oak, if a business is selling K2, you're asked to call police immediately, and they promise appropriate enforcement action will be taken. In Macomb County, K2 is now banned, but if you know of a business selling spice, you're asked to speak up through a website set up for you to get in contact with the county health department. In Wayne County, a K2 ban has just gone into effect. Wayne County has opened a 24-hour emergency hotline at 734-727-7163 to report retailers that continue to sell spice. But the push to stop K2 isn't just here in Metro Detroit. Head north to Port Huron, where Police Chief Michael Reeves has sent a letter to all area businesses asking them to voluntarily remove spice from the shelves.
And the defenders just received this letter from the mayor of Westland. They are in the beginning stages of banning K2. The mayor of Westland says if you know of a business in Westland selling K2, he's asked that you contact his office or the Westland Police Department. Everyone working together to get spice off the shelves. Reporting live downtown, I'm Mark Santia, Defenders.
All right, Mark, this push has grown tremendously today. We understand that our coverage is actually helping change policy across the state. So we also want to answer your questions, though, about this drug.
And we are doing that. Our consumer expert, Ruth Spencer, is over at our live phone bank right now. How are things going over there, Ruth?
Well, Carmen, really well. We've assembled a group of people on the front lines, really, of this K2 battle. Families Against Narcotics, CARE, the Brighton Center for Recovery, and some teenagers who are facing addiction. And they're all standing by right now to answer your questions. The phone lines open during our 4 o'clock news. They're going to stay open through 6:30. The number to call is on your screen, 313-298-WDIV. Right now, let's check with one of our volunteers. This is Trudy Simon. Hi, Trudy. Hi. You're from the Brighton Center for Recovery. Can you tell the people out there over the last hour some of the calls you've been getting? What have they been like?
Certainly, a lot of them are about what's being done and what people can do to help. And one situation was someone who called who is a user of spice. They did not know how dangerous it was, and they wanted to know how to get off of it.
Okay, very good. I'm glad that they called you. I know you have information that can really help them, and all of the people here in our phone bank can help you. I know you have a lot of questions about K2. Our experts are going to be here to answer your questions through 6:30. Give them a call, 313-298-WDIV. If you get a busy signal, just keep trying. They're answering your calls as fast as they can, and we'll have more from our phone bank for you over the next 90 minutes. Until then, Ruth Spencer, Ruth of the Rescue, back to you.
All right, thank you, Ruth. Now, we also have experts answering your K2 questions online. Just go to clickondetroit.com where you can join our web chat. Right now, you can talk with Dr. Hamani. He is Chief of Health Operations for Wayne County, and Mark Rudolph from Families Against Narcotics.
Well, dozens of questions are coming into our K2 phone bank here at the Local 4 studios. The number to call is right there on your screen. Right now, I'm joined by Local 4 medical expert Dr. Frank McGeorge. And Dr. McGeorge, a lot of the questions that have been coming in here have to do with what is the difference between K2 and that drug bath salts?
Well, Ruth, you know, in fact, what parents really need to know is there isn't much of a difference between the two from the standpoint of how their child might react. Both are very dangerous. Now, while K2 and bath salts are made from different chemicals, they have similar effects that overlap. Both are totally synthetic, and they're created to stimulate certain parts of the brain for a high, essentially. But the side effects are simply too dangerous. Now, the most serious of all those side effects are hallucinations, agitation, and psychosis. Users tend to smoke K2, while bath salts are actually ingested or inhaled. But frankly, as a doctor and a parent, the bottom line is no one should be messing around with either one of them. Neither are safe for human consumption.
Yeah, and I understand as part of the psychosis, I guess, is they feel like they have superhuman strength?
Exactly. It simulates something that's very much like PCP, making it even more dangerous. People out of their mind. They have no idea what they're doing.
Oh. That's so terrible. Thank you so much, Dr. McGeorge, for telling us about that. That's why we're doing this today. The experts on our phone bank will be taking your calls, taking your questions through 6:30 tonight, and the number to call is 313-298-WDIV. Again, 313-298-WDIV. Coming up at 6 o'clock, I'm going to be speaking with a teenager who's had firsthand experience with K2. Now, our defender, Kevin Dietz, is in Troy this evening, and he has a look at how Oakland County is stepping up its fight against K2.
Who's buying, who's selling, and who can put a stop to K2 spice and bath salts? The defenders go undercover.
I'm not just selling, we're just working.
Using hidden cameras, we crisscross Metro Detroit, seeing who's pushing fake pot and who's decided it's no longer worth selling. What pressure points are actually working to get K2 spice and bath salts off local store shelves?
But they banned it. It's really bad for you.
Come with me as we go undercover, see the hidden camera, the surprising results, and the confrontations. It's a Defender exclusive investigation tonight at 6.
Fighting the K2 epidemic, a new drug that's drawn in local teens with deadly results. Local 4 Defenders first highlighted its dangers. Now communities across Metro Detroit and Michigan ramping up efforts to get K2 off store shelves. Good evening. You know, Local 4 Defenders have led the way on this fight, getting K2 out of the hands of local teens. And as we'll show you, local communities are now following our lead, changing policy as we speak.
We've got live team coverage coming up on this serious epidemic. Our Mark Santia following the money trail in Wayne County. Defender Kevin Dietz is in Oakland County, where he put some stores to the test. Our consumer expert, Ruth Spencer, is in the phone bank, and Local 4 Dr. Frank McGeorge in the newsroom, where we've been answering your email questions. Let's start, though, here with Mark. With how businesses are making serious money off K2.
That's right, Devin, and Mark joins us now live from downtown Detroit. Mark, for many businesses, the bottom line is really cash, isn't it?
Carmen, it's all about the money. And while store owners across Metro Detroit have been stocking their shelves with spice, one local man stepped up and said he refused to cash in on K2. Walk into this Hamtramck Marathon station on Conant and Holbrook, and there's one thing you won't find: K2.
Ethically and morally, I could not have it in here.
Months before police and elected officials began asking store owners not to sell K2, months before there was a public outcry, a vendor stepped into Yazan Musla's gas station.
He said, you could purchase it from a couple wholesales, but I could give you a cheaper price. You make about between $11 to $13 from each sale.
Selling K2, the vendor promised Yazan he would cash in, making $6,000 to $10,000 a month.
A human's life cannot have a price on it. No matter what you make a month, you can't have blood on your hands or have someone's family mourning because of what you sold.
But Yazan, who's also an emergency room doctor, stopped the vendor's sales pitch and declined stocking his shelves with spice.
I can't go home at night knowing that we've sold a product that's going to damage someone's life.
Several other K2 vendors have been back, pushing their product, promising huge profit, but Yazan has sent them out. With the same reply every time: no.
I can't have anything that would damage a person's life.
And it's not just the vendors putting the pressure on store owners across Metro Detroit to sell K2. Yazan says every day he has customers walk into his store asking for the product. And still every day, Yazan's reply is the same: no, I refuse to sell K2 here. Reporting live downtown, Mark Santia, Defenders.
Now, Mark, he's really clear about his position on this, but what's his message for other store owners?
Well, Carmen, he's actually talked to other store owners and talked to them as a doctor, telling them some of the side effects that come from K2. He says his message is simple: do not sell K2. He says you do not want blood on your hands. Run a clean operation.
All right, our Mark Santia reporting for us live.
This has all moved along at a pretty breathtaking pace today. State and local governments and agencies are moving very fast and decisively to fight K2. There were actions taken on several fronts today. Let's start in Lansing. The House Judiciary Committee quickly approved a bill to ban K2 sales. That now goes to the full House. State police report seizing K2 from a gas station in Fowlerville. Wayne County and the city of Detroit have declared K2 an imminent danger, so it's now illegal to sell it. And Oakland County is using a website to get retailers to join in on the ban on K2 sales. And today we put local stores who promised to pull K2 off their shelves to the test.
We did. Local 4 defender Kevin Dietz found K2 in those stores last week. So what did he find when he went back? Well, Kevin joins us now live in Troy to show us. Good evening.
Hi, this is really, really cool. It shows how the community can team up with the defenders in Local 4 to really make a difference. Now, last week we busted this very store right behind me for selling K2 and spice. This week, the store is K2 free.
Calling our first case of the afternoon.
Last week, the defenders introduced you to Kirsten Nielsen Hardig, the undercover judge who hit the streets incognito to see who's selling spice in Troy and Clawson. She and her staff finding dangerous spice, K2 or bath salts in 10 of the 15 stores they checked. The defenders found it too and let the clerks at 16 Mile and Crooks have an earful. Do you know what this stuff does?
I just sell them, I just work here.
You know what this stuff does.
Get you high, I guess?
Yeah, it gets you high. Kids smoking it and they're getting violent.
Yeah, well,
they're dying.
We're not the only one that's selling it. You know what I'm saying?
Everyone needs to stop it.
No, I know, and that's totally right. They should. Everybody should stop selling it.
This week we're back. Again, hidden cameras are rolling. And we're happy to report not a single Troy or Clawson store is still selling synthetic drugs. Now, instead of profiting off the legal high teens love, clerks are warning users to stop.
Good for you. One of my friends bought it from this one last week. Yes, she did. It's not illegal, is it? No, it's not, but they banned it. It's really bad for you.
Community and media pressure having a very real impact as our undercover producers are shot down in store after store after store.
It's not illegal, but the headache. Shop around. I don't know. You might still find them here and there.
They are trying everything they can think of out here in Oakland County. In Royal Oak and West Bloomfield, they have bans. In Troy, police are doing an education campaign. The Oakland County Executive and the Oakland County Sheriff, they're giving out stickers like this one to stores who promise not to sell. But what really seems to be working is putting stores on TV that are selling. So if you know of a store in your community, give me a call. We'll go out, we'll take our hidden cameras, we'll check. If we find they're selling K2, we'll put them on TV until they stop. Give us a call at Local 4. Kevin Dietz, Defenders.
All right, and Kevin means it. This issue is important to a lot of people. You may remember a local teenager from Bloomfield Township died of an overdose of K2. Well, now his friends and family of 18-year-old Oliver Smith are launching a national petition drive to get all synthetic drugs like K2 and spice banned across the country. You can sign that petition. It's on our website, clickondetroit.com. You'll find it right there on the home page. Well, so many families affected by this drug.
Let's bring in our consumer expert, Ruth Spencer, who is in our phone bank with a young person who knows firsthand how addictive K2 can be, Ruth.
Yeah, let me first say that the viewers out there, you have kept our panel of experts busy for the past 2 hours since this phone bank has been up and running. Here's the number to call over the next 25 minutes now until 6:30. 313-298-WDIV. And as you said right now, let's hear from a volunteer here who had personal experience with K2. This is Ethan. Thank you so much for being here, Ethan.
No problem.
He's in recovery right now, but can you tell young people out there what it was like when you were on K2?
I honestly wasn't myself, you know. I started stealing from cars. I started stealing from places of work that I worked at. I had my door removed from my house in my room because I was so violent and acted out to the point where my mom had to sleep in my room because there was nothing else I could do. She had to make sure I wouldn't leave at night. There were things that I did that I didn't think I would ever do.
What would you say to young people out there who are thinking about trying K2?
I would say think about what you do before you act on it, you know. Think about what you're putting into your body because you never know. There's all different kinds of chemicals in it that change every day, and you know.
And right now they don't even know where it's manufactured, where it's
No,
actually
not at
coming
all.
from. Yeah, okay. Thank you so kindly for being here. We wish you the best, Ethan, in your recovery. I know addiction is a really tough illness to get over.
is.
Okay, thank you, sweetheart. The number to call here, 313-298-WDIV, and the lines will be open, as I said, until 6:30. We'll take as many of your calls as possible. If you get a busy signal, please keep trying. I'm Ruth Spencer. Ruth to the rescue. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Ruth. And good for Ethan for stepping up and coming forward and sharing that.
Puts a face on it.
Yes, Local 4 medical expert Dr. Frank McGeorge has seen a lot of dangerous drugs while working in the ER at Henry Ford Hospital.
Frank knows firsthand how big a problem K2 is right now. He's working on a special report for us for 11 o'clock tonight. Right now, he's in the newsroom where a lot of people are asking him questions online about K2. Doctor?
Well, you know, that's absolutely right. Experts have been taking viewer questions on clickondetroit.com since 4 o'clock. Mark Rudolph from Families Against Narcotics has been answering some of them. So, Mark, tell me what seems to be the biggest concern.
I think most people don't understand what this stuff is. I mean, if it's legal,
yeah.
I mean, how can it be so dangerous? But, you know, again, as we know, it is. These kids are playing around with it, and they have no idea the dangers that they're taking.
Well, and hopefully we'll be able to clear some of that up tonight, but I really appreciate your being here. And, you know, and Mark has really been incredibly helpful. And as an aside, Mark actually did lose his son to a drug use situation, and you're incredibly brave for being here, and I really do appreciate your input on all of this. So K2 specifically is a very serious problem, and it's one that I am seeing firsthand in the emergency room. Genie, Devil's Wrath, Bombay Blue, no matter what you call it, K2 spells trouble for whoever takes it.
It got to multiple times a day, all the time. It's bad.
Teenagers are getting hooked on this synthetic drug. To find out what's in it, I spoke to Dr. Susan Smolinski, director of Michigan's Poison Control Center, and an expert on K2. That's right, I'm talking to Poison Control about this problem, because K2 is a poison our kids are taking on purpose.
I would say average is 16 or 17, but we've had a couple 11-year-olds
and one who came in just a couple days ago who was 13 and said he had been smoking it daily for 1 year. So he was 12 when he started.
So tonight at 11, I'll show you what's in this drug, why the danger is unpredictable from one package to another, and ultimately the list of items that your kids might be after that is a warning sign they're using K2. Back to you.
Yeah. All right, Frank, we will see you again tonight at 11 o'clock.
And we have so much more information on K2, what it is, how dangerous, who's banning it, and what parents need to know. You can find it all on the homepage of clickondetroit.com. Look for it on our special coverage box there.